and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce you to mothers and their men, an introspective look at mothers rearing their son. Listen, guys, I'm so happy that you're here, those that are watching right now live and those that will be watching via our post broadcast. We just thank you for being here. Yeah, this is the Nobody Asked Me Guy show. I am the Nobody Asked Me guy, Melvin Lars. And listen, I appreciate you being here with me. And I'll be sharing with you tonight about mothers and their men, an introspective look at mothers rearing their sons. Now, to give you some insight about this book before we start talking about some of the things that are entered in this book, I want you guys to understand this book is written from a mother's perspective. Now, listen, we know that all of the things that you read, many things that are written, always talk about telling parents how to rear their children. However, we wanted to write a book for you that would explicitly be coming primarily from the voices of our moms, surveys that were taken, research information that's gleaned in this book as well, because we wanted to have an honest conversation. That's why I always tell you guys, let's start the conversation. So tonight, we are starting the conversation with mothers and their men, an introspective look at mothers rearing their sons. Now, I'd like to open for you with just a few things that I've written here. Just I have a author's notes to our moms, and simply put, mothers and their men, an introspective view of mothers rearing their sons, explores the deeply introspective plethora of ideas, ideals, and opinions into the relationships mothers form with their sons. Now, listed are two agonizing questions, guys. Listen very closely. Are these relationships formed with our mothers healthy or hazardous? Or am I my mother's son or my father's mistake? Now, let that sink in for a moment because this book that we're talking about tonight talks about all of these angles. Now, there are so many chapters in here. I didn't want to make the book very long. I wanted to make it a readable book. Many of you that are avid readers will sit down and read this in one sitting. Some of you may take 2 or 3 bites before you finish this book. But I guarantee you, once you read this book, it will certainly give you something to think about. It will certainly open your eyes. We share a lot of views. One of our chapters talk about is dad in the house, but he's not home. We discuss domestic violence, why moms remain in domestic violence. How does domestic violence affect the lives of the children that are involved in domestic violence? And that's just a few of the chapters that are listed here. So as we continue to delve into mothers and their men, an introspective look at mothers rearing their sons, I want you guys to understand very clearly. Kente, very glad you're here, brother. Please feel free to hop on anytime. I want you guys to understand very clearly that this book is about mothers and their sons. This book comes from a mom's perspective. It comes from son's perspective. And I want to talk with you about that. Now, the other thing is we talk about here, mothers and their men is intended to meticulously engage the reader with researched, chilling, pensive views of the varying attitudes of mothers and how their life experiences deeply impacts or impacted their methodologies in rearing their sons, to infuse both concepts and precepts of the various attitudes and beliefs that are utilized when rearing our children. We solicited mothers of various ages to ensure that this discussion included young, middle-aged, and elderly mothers. By doing so, we were afforded the opportunity to cover several decades of sons and their moms. We were presented with both subtle and significant differences and beliefs as they pertain to rearing sons and children. So listen, understand this. We are challenged each and every day. Moms are challenged each and every day. So with that, let me give you a little brief peek into my backyard as we explore relationships of mothers and their sons and possible contributory circumstances that may have been indelibly involved in the decisions my mom employed in rearing us. Now, those of you that are avid readers or may not be avid readers, but you remember the literary work, a line in Marmion, one of Walter Scott's poems. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we first practice to deceive. Now, this could have very easily assisted in describing my mother in her early years of her impulsivity and her immaturity. Now, this young, impulsive, immature child mother definitely had major challenges in her personal life, pre and post marriages. She, like most mothers, were single, widowed, divorced, married, overwhelmed, all of the above. And we don't talk to moms about that. We just generically try to pass things off as being that's the way it is. I don't know about that, not according to the moms. It's more than being that's the way that it is. And when we infuse with the sons and we talk with the sons, as I said, I just want to give you a little insight into me. As a young boy, I said this. I was reared in a house of alleged Christians. I, as a little boy, often found myself wondering, where was this great God that everyone keeps talking about? He certainly never visited my house. I felt that he could not have visited us with all the turmoil, anger, pain-filled days and nights that were experienced at our residence. As a boy, guys, I didn't enjoy Christmas until I was a grown man because of some of those experiences as a boy during Christmas time. But now I persevered and I hung in there and I kept going. So I just want to share with you a little bit about me and about my mom and how we dealt with some things. And I don't want to get into all of the intricacies because it is written right here in the book. We just want you to understand. But one thing I would like you to know, mothers, life as you know it is often diverse, confusing, and yes, it can be humiliating. You do your very best to point us towards the moon, the stars, and the outer limits of this universe. Sadly, far too many sons can only see the ends of your fingertips. So we want to say to our moms, do not apologize. Stop apologizing for life and for the atrocities that many of you may have seen and may have experienced. Now, for our sons, we know that there are many challenges. People call us men. We call ourselves man. People say, "Oh, he's a great little man. He's the man of the house." So as we explored with our moms and we talked about these various acronyms that are laid on young boys who oftentimes are confused as to why they're having to be the man in a household, that he's still a boy. We want you to understand one thing, that many times you are thrust into a situation where you are allegedly a man, the man of the house, but many times that's conflicting, isn't it? Because you still are seen as what you are, and that's a child, that's a little boy that's trying to assume the role of a man. So within this book, Mothers and Their Men, an introspective look at mothers rearing their sons. We want you to join us in this conversation. We want you to explore this book. We want you to explore yourselves. For instance, as we look and as we talk about the book and the things that are in here, and as I said, it's my pleasure to introduce this book to you tonight. This is the very first introduction. This book has been on the market now for a month, and I want to do a formal introduction via the Get Vocal platform. It's really been a very nice platform, so I want to do that. Now, I want to share just part of a chapter with you, and it's called My Mother's Microscopic Challenges. Now, please indulge me as I share just a tidbit with you about my mother and the rearing of her sons. And I've talked to you already about Marmions, uh, you know, and there are just so many things how life gives us situations. Now, depending on how we take these situations, they can be opportunities or they can be albatrosses around our necks as the son. And, of course, like most kids, we call my mom my dear. We observed many difficult times that she went through. My home was fraught with domestic violence. I was very angry and wanted to, of course, stop the pain and stop the frustration and stop the sadness of my mom. So there were some decisions that I made that were not healthy for not only myself, because it could have involved incarceration, but it certainly was not healthy for the individual that was inflicting the pain and the hurt on my mom as well. So when I talk in this chapter about my mother's microscopic challenges, I not only talk about that, because I talked about that because I wanted, from looking at my surveys, from reading the researched information that's out there, I wanted to hear from other mothers, mothers of various, quote, ethnicities. We have Asian mothers, Latino mothers, Caucasian mothers, Black mothers, all sharing and giving their opinions in this book about motherhood. Now, obviously, we know that depending on one's socioeconomic statuses, the way they were possibly reared, all of those dynamics that are included, there may be some different, quote, ideologies. However, the love is the same. The things that they want for their sons appear to be basically the same. So when we talk about moms, we want to hear from the mothers. So when you get to that chapter, there's some very interesting reading there, some quotes from a lot of moms. We included some surveys in here from moms, and they are very interesting. Some of the things that mothers had to say. Now, speaking of that, there was a particular piece of information I wanted to share with you that I did receive from one mom, and she was very matter of fact, and her name is Miss Cookie Gawain, quite frankly, and she says, "Mothers of Black sons, we face special challenges. Our sons face at times distressing issues, which we as mothers may have to deal with firsthand." She says, "I'm not a man, nor do I desire to be, but neither am I a weak woman. I must teach my son how to deal in a world that may misunderstand him. This world may not see that he is a child, a teen, a man, but instead see him as a threat. It is in shame I teach, not shamed because I teach, but in the fact that I must. So I teach, I implore, sometimes I plead, sometimes I cry. However, as I do so, we will discover and expose with the power of God and our ability the things we need to know. We will root out every adversary, ideology, every trick, every defamation, and misinstruction to his manhood, social manipulation, social weapon, and predisposed prejudice. With God, mind, wisdom, we will learn together and will fight every attempt to social bondage. I will teach mental freedom, which comes knowing it is not you, but ignorance, envy, and hate that attempts to impede your unconquerable spirit. I will teach my sons freedom of mind in wisdom, kingdom, and knowledge. I will teach my sons the truth, not to implant hatred, but wisdom for their survival, because my sons are kings. Now, that's just from one mother's excerpt. Now, she filled out the survey and did all those things. But the reason I want to share that with you is because this book, Mothers and Their Sons, an introspective look at mothers rearing their sons, is an extremely, extremely, extremely interesting book. Not because I had the privilege of writing it, but because there is nothing on the market where our moms actually have an opportunity to share as a group how they feel about their sons, what they feel. I cite several scenarios in this book. As an educator for 37 years, I've worked with, quote, gang members, unquote. I don't think any kids are gang members. We've just given them titles because they're looking for solace and they're looking for strength and they're looking for the words we use called family. And there's just some things that are undesirable. Yes, I do agree with that. However, They're not gangs, they're just looking for love. And unfortunately, bad decisions are often made before they are curtailed. And they do many awful things, sometimes out of fear, sometimes out of misunderstanding. Sometimes they may be in need of some mental assistance. They may need psychiatric help, but instead, we put one label on them and deem them unworthy of our love. So, Mothers and Us Men addresses all of these things with mom's intervention verbally so that we can see and we can touch and we can talk and we can have a valid, solid conversation about what actually takes place when it involves mothers and their SMEN. Now, why is this important? Why do we say SMEN? Glad you asked. I have some people that's watching. They asked me about 100 times now. What does SMEN mean? What does SMEN mean? So allow me to stop and share. SMEN is the son and respectfully the man of the mother, even if dad's in the house. Now, how do we equate the two? Because you very well better be the son. Depending on your living condition, you are thrust into being the man in a respectful manner. So you have to juggle these two responsibilities. You have to walk this thin line. You have to be very careful. But herein lies the problem. Many times, when it's convenient for the adults for you to be a man, that's expected of you. But when it's not convenient for the adults for you to be a man, then you are expected to be again that little boy. Literally, that little boy. Doesn't matter, you're 16, 17, 18, sometimes older than that. You just expect it because we talk about the whole process. Now, let's talk about another critical point. Most of us like to talk about, the correct way for individuals to quote if to have children. We know many children are born out of wedlock. Thus, someone decided to coin the phrase, if you're born out of wedlock, that child is a bastard. And they say, well, that's backed up by the Bible. And I simply ask a question because you know what? I decided to go and talk to Mr. Webster and see what Mr. Webster had to say. And my question is, to which great scholar do we owe homage for this most unflattering description of a human being, not to mention one of God's creations? And then he and she are deemed as bastards. Now, Merriam-Webster defines an illegitimate child something that is spurious, irregular, inferior, or of questionable origin. How's that for someone describing you as a human being as we continue to delve into mothers and their SMEN, an introspective look at mothers rearing their sons? So you're the son. If you're born out of wedlock, then you're a bastard. And according to Merriam-Webster, you are spurious, irregular, inferior, or questionable origin. But now we overlook all of that and we throw the Bible in there and we say God has no respect of person, that every person is made in God's own image. But yet we have these definitions. Now, which God, little g, gets to determine my legitimacy? You see, I was born out of wedlock, out of 4 children. My mother was married twice. I've been the single one, born out of wedlock. What does that make me? According to Merriam-Webster, I'm an illegitimate child. I'm something that is spurious. I'm irregular. I'm inferior. And I'm of questionable origin. Am I not of human origin? Yet the dictionary describes me as something that is spurious. Am I something? So in this book, Mothers in their men introspective look at mothers rearing their children, and sons in particular. We talk about those things with our mothers. We ask our mothers various questions. We allow our mothers the opportunity to share their views about their sons and their interactions with their sons, and how that son's maturity can be a plus and a minus, and how moms feel when they are asked to be that quintessential savior of mankind. Yes, I said quintessential savior of mankind. Now, why do we talk about that in mothers and their men, an introspective look at mothers rearing their sons? We talk about that because holistically, the world says that moms are supposed to rear this quintessential man. However, ironically, in the same breath, the world says women cannot rear boys and cannot rear men. No one ever bothers to extrapolate. We also have a chapter in there that talks about and speaks to that second elephant in the room. Now, that second elephant in any room is always the elephant where no one wants to discuss things that are difficult. No one wants to discuss things that they may not know how to explain. No one wants to discuss their beliefs relative to this topic, and that it may need rethinking. Thus, we put the chapter in because of what many of the mothers were saying, the second elephant in the room. So, Mothers and Their Men, an introspective look at mothers rearing their sons, challenge much of this because moms are talking, sons are talking. Remember earlier, I asked you guys, and as I was explaining to you about this publication, could that be a curse? And I didn't use the word curse earlier, but could that be a curse in relationships that mothers and sons have? Sons feel like they have to protect their moms, but moms want you to walk that very thin line. You know you're a child and you must walk that line. But sometimes dads and moms expect you to be a man when you are a child, but dad hasn't been there to show you how to be a man. Doesn't mean dad is not in the house, but did he take care of his responsibility? I mentioned to you earlier, Mothers and Their Men. Yes, we have that chapter. Dad's in the house, but he's not home. That's another topic. See, that's another second elephant in the room because everyone wants to talk about single parent homes. Everybody tries to hang out there. You know, we try to hang a moniker up. Our prisons are filled because of single parent homes. Schools are failing because of single parent homes. This is because so we discuss those things in Mothers and Their Men. And we don't take long to tarry on it because we want you to think and we want you to go back and address issues that moms are faced with and things they talk about. But keep in the forefront of your mind. So many times, dad is in the house, but he is not home. So Mothers and Their Men tackles all of these issues. That's why we tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there's no book out there on the market that actually give you the voices of our mothers, that give you the voices of our sons, that allows you to hear the silence of our dads. Isn't it eerie? Can't you hear it? The silent screams, but no one's listening. So we need to understand Mothers and Their Men is in itself an introspective view of mothers rearing their sons. How do the sons react when you have those sons that everyone thinks is such a great person? He's personable, he's intelligent, he's a great husband, a great son, a great brother, a great friend, he's a humanitarian. He's all of the adjectives, adverbs, whatever you want to call them. But mom is rarely given the credit. And we take credit away by saying, you've been a mom and a dad. No, mom can't be a dad. She doesn't have the gender. She didn't have the mentality. She had the mentality and agenda of the mom. So in our attempts to pat mom on the back, mothers and their men talk about we really discredit mom because people readily say, well, she's my mom and my dad. I've heard people say that so often. No, she can't be your mom and your dad because she's not a man. Even when you have people writing books, to women, and I won't call any names. I don't have the right to use anybody's name. And I'm not trying to besmirch anyone, but all this trying to tell women how men think and what they do and all this. Now that's maybe how you think, but you don't represent every man. So let's just get that straight. That may be how people that you hang out with think, but they don't represent every man either. Your circumstances and their circumstances may have been totally different. Their educational level, the experiences they had in their lives, the dreams that they have, things that they want to do, what they believe and their beliefs, all of that comes into play. No one can tell you how to be a man. We can tell you our ideas and our ideals and what works for a certain group of men that we've personally observed or been around or belief factors. So mothers and their men, an introspective view of mothers rearing their sons is a must read. I'm telling you guys, there's nothing on the market like it. You need to get your copy today. Now, how do you do that? Go to www.dyingonmyfeet.com. You go to the publications page on that website. Click the icon that says purchase. You can pay with PayPal, or you can go to a brighter future 91 at gmail.com. Send us a message, purchase, and then we can take your credit card there. And all the transactions are like anything else when you go to the regular stores. Or, speaking of the regular stores, you can get Mothers and Their Men from any bookstore. If they don't have it in the store presently, they will certainly order it. Or, guys, even easier, you can dial 440-935-0374. We can take your credit card information over the phone, guarantee everything is encrypted, nothing will be hacked, and you will be able to get your autographed copy. So listen, as we end this introduction to Mothers and Their Men, an introspective look at mothers rearing their sons. We appreciate those of you that are viewing live. We further appreciate those of you that will take the time and watch this short video and watch this introduction of Mothers and Their Men, an introspective look at mothers rearing their sons. Again, go to www.dyingonmyfeet.com. Go to our publications page. There you will find all of the information you need to find as to how to purchase your copy of Mothers and Their Men. Also, for our book clubs that are out there that are listening live, and for those book clubs that will listen to this recorded broadcast, I would love to come and share with your book clubs, have a discussion about this great book. Now, one bonus, we have a series of questions in the back for you to just have discussions with your book clubs, with mothers, with sons, with others that may be interested in really hearing and talking and seeing and comparing their thoughts and their ideas about motherhood and of the sons. So guys, listen, it's been great. I'm so very happy that you're here. And I would like to offer time for you to ask questions. However, we do not want to keep everybody long and put you to sleep. I encourage those of you that have further questions, you go to my website. Go to my email, a brighter future 91 at gmail.com. Send me your questions, and I guarantee you I will answer them immediately, and we can open up a discourse, and we can even talk by phone. 440-935-0374. Mothers and their men, an introspective look at mothers rearing their sons. Thank you for taking time to listen. I'm excited about the number of viewers that I'm looking at that's watching this. I'm going to be equally excited when I see all of you that watch this broadcast. I want you to have a great and blessed evening. From the Nobody Asked Me guy, Melvin, Lars, from the Nobody Asked Me guy show. Join us next week, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be putting up the link. We are going to be with Mr. Andre Harrison. Andre is a dad raising his sons. Andre is also an elementary school teacher, and he's a relationship guru. Following Mr. Andre Harris, those of you that like opera, we're going to have none other than world-renowned opera singer Brenda Wimberly. Yeah, she's going to be with us. She's going to be giving you a little taste of some of her opera. She'll be talking about life. She'll be moving forward. That's on next week. We will have Andre. The following week, we will have Brenda. Have a great day. The Nobody Asked Me guy. Get that book, Mothers and Their Men, an introspective look at mothers rearing their sons.